All right, what's going on, everybody? What's happening? Glad to see if anyone can make it. If not, hey, we've got the replay game. Find somebody who knows somebody to tell somebody about what we've got going on over here. If you like it, let me know. Share it if you do. And subscribe if this is what you're looking for. All right, so I'm kicking it right now, a little bit of Roots Maneuver, Witness to Fitness. Before we get going, go ahead and just lay back to the cut for a minute. I need to check a few things in the background. I should have a few people joining me. Enjoy the music. Fair use, fair use. All right, fair use, fair use. Another couple of minutes, folks. We'll be starting soon. right. Go ahead and just get into this. Like I said, that's the sounds of Roots Maneuver. Witness the fitness. So as always, welcome, and I appreciate anyone who's able to join us live or join me for right now. And if you're not able to join this, you know that there's going to be the replay. So if you don't miss it now, you can hit it again later. So the topic of tonight's show, ancient Africans. Now, from one of the things that I have noticed over the course of my life, and let's say for about a good 200-300 years or so, is that there's a level of prominence that Africa is no longer giving any credence about. And that's primarily due to, well, we'll just say slavery first and foremost, because of the fact that everyone seems to believe that there is nothing from Africa, or let me take that back. I won't say everyone, but there's a fair amount of folks who don't believe there's anything prominent that has been added to civilization or culture from Africa. Everyone is accustomed to seeing loincloths of Black folks running around carrying spears with plates in their lips or something along those lines, and giving no credence again to the fact that that is the cradle of humankind. But the way that things have been presented when you discuss Africa or Africans in and of itself, it is always in a pejorative. It's seen as to be a joke. That how could people such as that contribute to what we have in today's world as far as academics, literature, science, medicine, culinary, architecture? No one, again, let me stop saying no one. There are a fair amount of folks who do not believe any of this existed. So what I would like to do is just take some time to go over a few things that will show folks that there is a lot of African history, a lot of African culture that has been negated. And this all started around the slave trade. Now, even though we have elements of American or Black history here in America, that doesn't necessarily mean that a lot of that is being seen. Even though this is the history that we have, it doesn't necessarily mean that all of it has been shared. So hold with me, folks. What I'm doing here is just getting my screen shared out. All right, so first and foremost, let's go ahead and roll into this. Now, what I want to make known right now is that I am showing you information that I have saved from web searches. So just in case no one is aware of that, you can actually save your web searches. All you have to do is hold down the control button and press S, and you can save information such as web pages if you want to review them later offline. So I'll just throw this out there just in case no one is familiar with this. Not to mention it also saves on CPU and pretty much memory usage. The internet takes a lot, folks. All right, so the question that I threw into Google here, not that I didn't already know this, but I wanted to make sure that any type of string that I share here, anyone else is also going to be able to share that as well. Platinum, what's going on, man? I haven't seen you in a minute. If you're going to be here for a while, Rob, you're going to like this show tonight. All right, so the question that I threw up here in Google. Well, I should have said is, but it knew what I meant. Is Africa, or Africa is the cradle of humankind and civilization, which was a question I wanted to ask. Is Africa the cradle of humankind and civilization? To which was replied, yes. Africa is widely considered the cradle of humankind. Oh, just a moment, I give out love to Rob. How are you doing? Hey, man, I'm doing good right about now. I actually just got accepted into the doctoral program I mentioned about a month or two ago. So I'm actually getting started around the 6th of August is when class starts. So yeah, all is good. Oh, cool. You're going to be here for a minute? All right. By all means, man, if you have any information that you'd like to add, please do so. Oh, and just to put this out to everyone, your boy has been accepted into the doctoral program. Boom. So I don't want that to limit the time, limit the time that I've had with you folks here, but there may be some additional study time required of me. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to get in at least 2 or 3 shows a week, but if I need to, I'll do some background, we'll just release some videos. I'll do some pre-records, but if I can, I'll try and stay on the live schedule, which has been a little bit off for the last week or two, but we'll get back in track. Excuse me. Damn, what is that all about, right? Yes, Africa is widely considered the cradle of humankind due to the abundance of hominin fossils discovered there, indicating the origin of our species and the earliest stages of human evolution. While the term cradle of civilization is more complex, Africa has also played a significant role in the development of early human societies and cultures. So let me expand that. Oh, you know what? We won't worry about that. This is, as I said before, this is a saved page. So I may not be able to get the links to come down, but what I'll do is what I'm doing right now, making sure that the information ideally is up front, the primary aspect. So the question that I asked again is Africa the cradle of humankind and civilization? To which the answer is yes. So in many places, you will find folks that will look at what's being stated as untrue. And the reason for that is that there has not been enough work being put out to make things known that Africa is where everything originated from. If any of you have had bonehead biology, biology 101, they talk about mitochondrial mother. She is where life began. And again, that was in Africa. Now, feel free to type that into whatever search engine that you use, whatnot, if you need to see this information or see it for yourself. I'm just going to provide you the information that is out there that I'm getting back. Now, also, I want you to keep in mind, I've said this before, with the advent of AI, what you're going to find here is that you're going to have to fight sometimes with your search engine because there's a lot of filtering that's being done in information that is being utilized. So just because I can type in the question, what is the cost of eggs today? It'll say $3.99. I can type that question in again and I'll get a second answer. Now, it may or may not give me the same outcome that I got the first time, but just understand that you're going to get a lot of variances. So you have to watch how you ask your questions. So again, as we can see, Africa is the cradle of humankind. So here's another question that I happen to have asked. Did ancient Africans populate the Nile in Africa, circa, meaning around 8,000 BCE, before Common Era? The answer that I received, yes. Ancient African populations played a significant role in settling the Nile Valley in Africa around 8,000 BCE. Early settlements. While the specific date of initial settlements can vary among sources, early human settlements along the Nile are believed to have begun much earlier, possibly even before 8,000 BCE. So we're talking going further into like 10,000, 15,000, but I'm going to try and answer as much of those questions as possible, or based upon what I've got here presented in front of you. There's always more to be done about this. All right, so Neolithic cultures. Around 7,000 to 4,500 BCE, Neolithic cultures developed in the Nile Valley, laying the groundwork for later civilizations. So there's a lot of info to cover here, but I'm not going to hold everybody up too long. However, what I do want to ensure I do is provide you the search string that I use to find this information. Now, again, what I'm doing here is taking a moment to demonstrate the prominence that was us, that was in African culture prior to the slave trade. Because a majority, because a majority of this information has not been publicized, or if it has been publicized, a lot of folks have not seen it. We've been, the best way to put it, we've been led away from any belief or understanding of how much history that Africa contributed to civilization. Instead, we look to Western culture, and Western culture more or less being Europe, primarily Rome. Oh, hey, just a second. We got my man's in here. Coming to the stage, Chicago Rilla, what's good? Chicago.
Top of the top with it. Top of the top with it. What's going on, fam?
Hey, nothing much, man. As always, it's normally just you and I getting started out. We may get 3 or more folks, but if not, we know that the replay gang will check it out, and the information is still good.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh, notice as we represent here the Council of OGs.
You already know. Yes, sir. GenX. Hold on. Let me.
Got to make sure.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
Man, hit me out, man. What's been going on with you? I just let folks know that I got accepted into my doctoral program that starts next month. Yeah, man. Understand, folks, that the people that I have sitting up here with me, we are striving and we're aiming high. We're bringing some knowledge to this particular space. We're not going to have the commentary all the time about our men leaders. Do broke men deserve a woman's time? This type of stuff. We're not doing that over here. All right. We're looking at what's out here. Chicago, let me back down for a second. What you got to say? What's good with you?
Man, I'm boots on the ground, man. It's been a productive summer, man. We've been, getting in the community. What I did at seniors luncheon last weekend. I was at the Bud Billiken, which is the largest. It's the second largest parade in the country, but it's the largest African-American parade in the country, right? Back to school parade for the kids. So we was out there serving book bags and supplies and stuff, man. It's a beautiful scene, man. That's the highlight of my summer. This weekend I'll be at the Y on 63rd and Stony, participating in an all-in event with my employer for back to school, and then Monday I'll be down at my high school welcoming students back. So I live a life of service, man. So when y'all don't see me, especially in the summertime, man, know I'm out here doing what I can to give back to the community. And then, of course, I'm in school. So I was waiting on that final grade from my intro to sustainability class. Got that back. Yeah, I didn't get the grade that I want. I thought the professor was going to grade my last assignment a little bit higher. But I understood what he was saying. It was one thing that I missed to tie it all together. So that's cool. But I ended the class with a B minus. So that puts me at a A minus. I think that puts my GPA at an A minus, basically. So, we regrouping and getting ready for the fall, man. I've been away from school for 20 years. Been out of school for 20 years. So I'm an autodidact, right? And so, that's different than being under a course and curriculum and structure and all that other stuff. I normally go at my own pace, but yeah, it's just a different adjustment, man. But everything is well. The wife is well. The house is well. Was in the yard earlier. Before that, I did 3.5 miles, and then I got a partner that runs. He does a run for prostate cancer nonprofit, so we did another 3.5 miles tonight. So 2 a days.
5K that you were telling me about.
Yeah, we on 2 a days. Yeah. Yes, sir. And gentlemen, for the old heads in here, right? Go get checked out, man. Go see your primary care physician. Go see your doctor. And do the things that you need to do to take care of yourself, man. We losing a lot of people. The African proverb says that when an elder dies, a library burns to the ground. And we're losing a lot of people. So do what you need to do to be here for a little bit longer for us, man. You got it, J Money.
Respect on that. So a lot has been said, and said a lot it is, and it makes fact. Again, make sure you take care of yourselves. If I've never mentioned enough, I need to make sure that it's heard. As Chicago Gorilla just said, cancer, not a joke, black man. Take care of yourself. All right, man. So basically what we've got right now, let me just back it up. We're only one tab in. So as I was saying on the on the phone, we were talking prior to this, ancient Africans. That's what we're discussing tonight. Robert Platinum stopped in for a minute. I don't know if he's off to the side or not, but you know how Rob is. He's back and forth checking what's going on in the world. So he'll slide back in a minute. But the idea here is I was letting people know that we have, and you and I have discussed this, we've seen how Africa does not rate in prominence as it should, being that it is the cradle of humankind, and that we look at Africa as being the centerpiece when it comes to science, for medicine, for mathematics, culinary, these type of things that we don't see people give enough credence to, because it has been hijacked, so to speak, and curbed away from us during the course of the slave trade. Whereas we do not have enough folks who know about what Africa has brought to the world. Your thought, man. I'll go ahead and do a recap.
Yeah, just early thoughts, man. Absolutely correct. We know that the oldest remains in the world was discovered in Ethiopia. Even if you think, if you're a theologian or a biblical scholar, all your Pentateuch, your Torah, all of it traces back to Africa. I think the thing that saddens me in this moment is Africa, or certain countries with. Uh-oh.
Yeah, you still there? You froze for a second. Hey, Chicago, if you hear me, man, go ahead. Okay, yeah, you're back. It seems like you broke it, man. You want to drop and come back? Oh, never mind. Here you go. You're back.
I was about to say, did I just go out? I was having a whole conversation with myself. Only thing I was saying was, I think the sad thing right now is that Africa looks, well, you got Kenya, I think Nigeria, and there's one other country that is literally being colonized by China right now.
Yep, it's going on. I've seen that.
And so you're talking about countries that have learned to speak English, Portuguese, Spanish, French, and now they're having to learn to speak Mandarin, right? And so listen, let it be known that these people are not going to Africa because there's no value there. That is the exact reason that they invade Africa and colonize countries in Africa, is because they still find Africa is ridiculously rich in natural resources still. You know, if it was just about colonizing or going to a third world country or whatever and just taking advantage of, they could do that anywhere, right? But there's something there in Africa. And so you always have to ask the question. It just really begs the question, what is it that y'all looking for? Right? That we keep skipping over, or that we shun and just kind of gloss and glance over. But, you know, prior to the year 2025, Africa has always been rich in resources. And like you said, the cradle of civilization. And let's not even get started on Timbuktu and how, you know, the Greeks raided and lifted a lot of their philosophy and ideology out of Egypt.
Back to Europe.
Yeah. So that's my early thoughts. I know we got a lot to cook with, but that's my early take.
Hey, if you got anything in the background that we discussed also that you want to bring out here, hey, here's the time to do it.
Yes, sir.
So the first question is, Africa the cradle of humankind and civilization? So already discussed with folks, yes, Africa is widely considered the cradle of humankind due to the abundance of hominin fossils discovered there, indicating the origin of our species and the earliest stages of human evolution. While the term cradle of civilization is more complex, Africa also played a significant role in the development of early human societies and cultures, which we can't agree on. Your thoughts?
No, I think the AI overview is summing that up perfectly. I mean, that's indisputable. I know people like to bring up Mesopotamia as, you know, the start of modern civilization. As you know, no. Again, I implore, I beg, I beseech everyone, whether you're in here right now on the live or whether you're watching the replay, as we roll some of this information out, don't take our word. You know, Jay has the Google pulled up, and you can see that true indeed. But make sure you double check us and do your research as well. You know.
As always, make sure that whatever you hear from us, don't take it at face value. Although folks understand that I don't put out anything in the ether that I can't justify. But whatever it is that you may have a question about, by all means, I reserve the right to be wrong. But I need to make sure that the information at least is put there first and foremost, so you know about it in case you don't. And just again to remind everybody, so to save a lot of resources on computers and CPU and bandwidth and everything, I've saved some of the pages that we see up here, or should I say all the pages. By the way, just in case, if you didn't know, Chicago, you know that if you're at a web page, you can hold down the Control and the S button, and it'll save the information for you, right?
Oh, Control S. I did not know that, but I learned that today. I know about Command C and Command V, but not Control S.
Yeah, Control S. If you're on a web page, it'll save everything in a .mhtml format. So what we're looking at right now is the web page offline. But if you were to click on any of the links, that would actually take you to the live page. Now, the reason why I'm taking a moment to say this right now is that I've noticed, because of where we are with this current administration, I have already seen information on web pages that have been static with information for 2 or 3 years that has been changed. I have literally sat here and gone back and looked at pages where the information has been changed to coincide with the current ideology that is being pushed out. So you have this retro action that is going back here, that is taking over and removing information that has been in place for almost 10 years. And I think I'll probably do a show on that. But just to make sure that if you don't know, if you come across a page that you feel has got good information on it, Control S. All right, and that's going to save that information as you have it. So if you need to, you can go back and make comparisons later. All right, so the next question I dropped off. Did ancient Africans populate the Nile in Africa circa, meaning around 8,000 BCE? Now, there's a reason why I'm doing this, man. So when we get further down into the tabs, it'll all be clear. But right now, I'm just laying the foundation. Yes, ancient African populations played a significant role in settling the Nile Valley in Africa around 8,000 BCE. We look at early settlements. While the specific dating of initial settlements can vary among sources, early human settlement along the Nile is believed to have begun much earlier, possibly even before 8,000 BCE. So what's your take on that, man?
Again, I mean, this is, hold on, let me make this bigger. This is, you know, for the most part, irrefutable evidence, right? You're not going to, you know, I know people try. I don't know why they would attempt to argue this. But yeah, no, this is irrefutable evidence. And early settlements, yeah. You did the Neolithic cultures?
Nope, haven't read through that yet. I want to give you some time, but by all means, man, if there's anything that sticks out here, point it out. There's a lot to cover, but I want to hit some of the most important parts. But if you see something in here that you want to make known, by all means, get it out.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then listen, here's the thing with the Nile. The Nile was so fertile, because I don't want to gloss over that and assume that people know that. That's so the way that John is positioning the question and asking, and while we're going down the Nile and we have these colloquialisms, river is a Nile, the Nile is a river in Egypt or something like that, right? All those things are important because the Nile was so ridiculous, it probably still is ridiculously fertile, that those farming communities were able to plant and grow, and then you had this ecosystem of farming and animals and so on and so forth. So that was very key to the culture then, and that's where you saw a lot of and again, it's the continent of Africa, right? So I want to be clear when I delineate between Africa, the continent, and then countries in Africa. But that's why that Nile River is so important. So I just wanted to highlight that as well.
Now, skipping down, keeping up with what Chicago is saying. Oh, hey, I told you
There it
that
is right
Rob
there.
checked back in. Totally, he checked back in.
Yes.
Boom, I used to be fertile as well.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? There's a new feature. I don't know if it's new, but I just remembered. I clicked on it. It says show comments on stage. So instead of me having to highlight all the time, which the big ones I will, we'll see at the bottom there. Did you see Rob's information pop up? Here we go. Yeah. So folks, if I forget to click a highlight, I've got backup. There were ancient lakes and rivers across the Sahara. Yes, there was more water in Africa many, many years, thousands of years ago, before it's gotten in the dry riverbeds that it is now. But yes, information that we're showing you right now, a lot of this is not made known inside of schools these days. But as I said, we're going to have something on some homeschooling and education also, because that's taking a turn. So looking back at this, let's look at the bottom here. Nubian presence. Nubia, located south of modern-day Aswan, shows evidence of sedentary settlements as far back as 6,000 BCE, indicating a strong and interconnected population along the Nile's length, going back to what you said, Chicago. There it is. So where people would still like to argue, I would say, no, there's more prominence here that we do not know in our history, because it has been kept not only from us, but from the world, because prominence was always redirected where? Now, believe it or not, if I told you that if you did a search in Google right now and typed in, is Greece the cradle of civilization? Do you know it will say Greece is the cradle of civilization?
I'm sure.
It does.
Sure.
As I said before, Christianity is, which I won't get too far into this right now, folks, but we're talking facts and data at this moment. We're talking about reality. So this is not a sermon. This is not Vacation Bible School. This is not Wednesday Bible class. These are facts we're discussing right now. Now think about this. When you look around, in order to have a competition, someone has got to be a foil, correct? Think about it. The Joker had Batman. Lex Luthor had Superman. All right, let's also think about the fact that the Cowboys had who? The Indians. And when you look at the foil that Christianity had, it was primarily Egypt, again, which outlines the tip of Africa. Africa being the continent, Egypt being one of the many countries in Africa. Keep that in mind when I talk about a foil, because we're going to get to that a little bit later. All right, stepping up again. So the next thing I asked here, before I do, have you ever heard of Adam's calendar, Chicago?
What is Adam's calendar?
So I wasn't familiar with it myself till I was on a partner show that's called Deconstructing Christianity.
That's a big movement right now.
Yeah, deconstructing. You know, a lot of folks are inside of that. I've been inside of that for a while now. But nonetheless,
now wait. I pause there just really quick. I don't want to divert you too quick. But why are you undergoing deconstruction?
Well, here's the funny thing. I got out of Christianity 30 years ago. Yeah, so I've been gone. There's some things that I've known of that you try and share with folks that will fight you to the ground, because it's been a level of, you hear people talk about indoctrination, right?
They
did not realize that indoctrination took place when they put the first chains around the first Africans taken from Africa. Our indoctrination began 500 years ago. So as a result, what you end up finding out is when you have the conversation with people about why do you believe what you do, it's because your grandmama was told this, Big Daddy was told this, Big Daddy's Big Daddy was told this, grandmama was told this. And what people fail to realize is that the Bible is the same document it was when our ancestors were being enslaved. There's been no change to it. So as a result, did you have something else, man?
No. I was agreeing with you. I was saying no, it has not been changed. I'm right. I mean, you're right. I agree with you.
Yep, it is the same exact document. So one of the things that I realized years ago, when I stepped away and walked away and stayed gone, is how there was always, as I was saying before, Egypt was always the foil. Like, why is it always Egypt that's catching flack here? As I'm looking through this. But then when you start reading more, you start realizing that the Bible is put together based upon different writers. There's not just one person. Depending upon the time period that you lived in, somebody may have taken the initiative to write to your Gospels, your New Testaments, Matthew, Luke, Paul, all of this. You had individuals who are writing to this who have no first person interaction with the biblical character called Jesus. And none whatsoever. But yet, if you talk to blacks come Easter around April or so, geez, just crying and all this type of stuff. Like, folks, it didn't happen. Now I know I'm going to catch flack for that, but you know what? I can live with that. I mean, I'm grown. I'm 50-something years old. I'm a grown-ass man. Yeah, I said it. But nonetheless, what you're having now is more people starting to put two and two together. Hence why I talk about how Africa's prominence has not been recognized due to the fact of when you look at how Christianity has guided folks away from the knowledge that we're just literally stepping into right now, that folks may not have even heard before. But yes, I started a long time ago. And here's a question that I asked my man show today. Outside of the Bible, per empirical evidence, where in recorded history has a man ever walked on water? And I'll just use this one as an example. Now think about it. Where has it ever been recorded has a man has walked on water?
To my knowledge, that hasn't been recorded.
All right, because it did not happen, because you cannot walk on water. But here's what happens in some of the places that I've been where I've asked this question. Well, I've walked across a frozen lake, so therefore I've walked on water. It's, oh, stop the nonsense, man. It's like, the hard left here of doing whatever they can to sustain, as they say, the lie. And when I started recognizing and seeing these type of things for myself, that's when I started realizing, what the hell am I doing here? I told him, yo, man, quick, REF Lakenheath, 1994, 95. There was a little church outside the base. I had these brothers coming by like Jehovah's Witnesses, knocking on your door. We just want to make sure that you stay strong in your faith. And I look around and I tell people nowadays, no, folks, back away from me with the nonsense. Faith is nothing more than the belief in the non-existent. And therefore, belief is centered around the lack of accountability, also the lacking of facts. And that's the best way that I put it to folks. And believing in faith is a check that is not going to get cashed. Now, that is going to come back to how you interpret that and how far into it. Because I said the indoctrination of us went started back when those ships started coming through. But think about it. If I put a chain around your neck or one on your back and I horse whoop your ass in front of your lady or your lady also and tell you, matter of fact, and I tell you, repent, believe in the Lord, and all shall be fine and you shall be justified. Well, gee, let me see, have the skin torn off my ass or sure. So it's not like you really gave any options here. But again, our indoctrination started way, way back. So I figured if I'm going to do anything to help folks get an idea of where we were in life and promise in the world, start at the beginning. Hence the show tonight.
That's
so
heavy.
That's how I can put it.
Yeah. No, that's again, I was studying why black men have left the church and are not returning. I think that's important. And again, when you say deconstruction, there's a lot of people deconstructing from this Western evangelical, whatever version of Christianity is supposed to be. But that was interesting. Wanted to hear your take.
Yeah, we've got a lot of our folks right now that we can't even have a conversation with, to the point, I think the expression used to be, what is that? So you're so heavenly
minded, earthly good. Yeah.
Yep. The variation, but you got it.
Yeah. My grandma say that. Yeah. You so heavenly minded, you know earthly good. Yeah.
Yeah. So if we're going to get started, we need to start from the beginning. Let me show you what you represent. Let me show you the prominence that's there. And as I tell folks, this is not a black show. This is not a white show. No, this is a knowledge show. This is a platform where you bring your information here and we'll shake it down and make sure that when we hang it back up, is it true? And a big thing I also like to let people know right about now, if you want this to happen as well.
Yeah.
That's I'm taking it back. It's time to get ready. We need to get woke again, folks. We're seeing too much going around right now with Black history. What I'm talking about right now in Chicago and what Robert is adding here as well, it has been criminalized.
Yeah.
Now, if I can take a moment for a public service announcement, we are under attack as of right now for what we know to be true, what has been shared with us, but also for the information that has not been shared. And I'm hoping to free and make people know about this right about now. Everything that we knew about history, Black history, is now considered to be racist, divisive, and revisionist, which there's no truth to this. But if you subscribe to the Daughters of the Confederacy, which I've mentioned in previous shows, who after the loss in the Civil War decided that, okay, we're going to create the lost cause narrative that now plays up all of what you see with Donald Trump supports. It is that history that we are in competition with. But they were able in 1909, 1910 to get a hold of publishers of school books who will put information inside that gives credence to the South, that shows favor to the South. Look at all the military bases that have the names of generals who are slave owners. All of this came after the Civil War, and the blame falls on the Union for not maintaining oversight. So as a result, we now have this conflict where they have taken their time. We're talking about the ultimate long game that has been played by those who support the ideologies that you see coming out of this administration right now. So as I tell folks right now, we need to get woke again. When our knowledge expands, is what I want people to understand here. When our knowledge expands, inspiration soon follows. Holla if you're picking up what I'm putting down.
Hey, listen, people, no one is coming to save you. And it is not, this is my opinion, it is not the government's responsibility to educate you on who you are. That's your responsibility. So part of the Council of OGs, part of our duty and calling is to impart wisdom and knowledge and the experience that we've gained. For me, 51 summers next Tuesday, right? 51 summers around this globe, right? 51 rotations, right? And I have to give back, right? But we can't say that the system oppresses us and then send our children there and expect them to be educated to maneuver in this world to benefit our people, right? So that's on us. So that's what we doing tonight. And like John said, we starting at the beginning, right? So that we know who we are, where we came from, what we've built, and what we've contributed to this world. And make no mistake about it, we are definitely under attack. Blackness is under attack. Black heritage is under attack. Our contributions to this country and to this world is under attack, and they trying to erase us, you know. And that's just the short. That's the long and the short of it. But it's on us, right, to educate ourselves, arm ourselves, and fight back accordingly. They playing 3D chess. We do not have the luxury of showing up to a 3D chess match. But what's his name? Mangus, or whatever. We don't have that luxury to show up to a 3D chess match with connect 4 pieces. You know? So I'll get back to you, big timer.
Definitely. Let's do this. All right, here we go. Lee Atwater. If you notice in the corner here, let me go ahead and make it a little bit larger. Because after the election of Reagan, we had a chance. And I don't know if you saw the video that I played of the Southern Strategy. Lee Atwater set the blueprint of racism in code, and that was called the Southern Strategy. If I get a minute, I'll see if I can pull that up and play that for everyone. Now, all they have to do is enact policies that naturally have the primary side effect of harming Black people and say, I'm not racist. Exactly. Hey, spoken. So what is Adam's calendar? So Adam's calendar here is a mysterious ancient stone structure located in the Mpumalanga province of South Africa. I had to say this earlier just to make sure I got it halfway right. It's a circular arrangement of stones believed by some to be a calendar or astronomical observatory, possibly the oldest of its kind. While its exact age and purpose are debated, some theories suggest it's over 75,000 years old, predating Stonehenge. Now, I wanted to make sure I put that in here because I don't think anyone has ever heard of it. I wasn't even aware of Adam's calendar until maybe about a week or so ago. I'd never heard of it. But again, this shows the information that has been repressed from the world, much less Black culture. So we know as of right now, we have a spot on the internet for anyone, Black, white, Hispanic, Asian, whatnot, who wants to make sure these facts are known. It is here. You can come to Jon H.E.N.R.Y. You can look for this. You can type it in, look for us. You know, I may have to create a channel called Council of OGs just so when we do these things, it'll be there under this specifically. But until then, folks, look for this, all right? If you need to look it up for yourselves, as I said before, I'm putting in the search string of everything here, or I did put it in so you can follow it back yourself. Anything you want to throw in there, Chicago?
No, that's solid. I definitely did not know about this, and then I'm definitely gonna have to research this. 75,000 year old. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So if we put this out here, if I
that's in South Africa, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, South Africa. Now, if I jump down to age and significance, while some estimate its age to be around 75,000 years, making it potentially the oldest man-made structure on Earth, other theories suggest even older origins. Are you seeing this? People, do you understand what is not being shared with you? The site is also known as African Stonehenge and Nzala Yilanga, birthplace of the sun. Now here's controversy and theories. Claims by Michael Tellinger that it was an alien-made structure and a 300,000-year-old calendar have been disputed. However, other theories propose its use for astronomical observations and religious ceremonies. So you're going to have debate, but again, the fact that you have this here and it's not been made known to a lot of people lets you know where we are when it comes to what has been shared about Africa. As you said before, majority of people know Africa as the place where everybody goes to put holes in the ground and take back what they find. Oh, look what we discovered in Africa. You have to go around the world in various museums where people have come to Africa, dug a hole in the ground, and then extracted history. Now imagine what would happen. Now I just want to put this here. Now, when I lived in England for about 4 years, I worked in downtown London, up the street from Trafalgar Square, the Museum of London, or I forget the name. But if I walked anywhere in the United Kingdom and just started digging a hole, and I had a whole bunch of people bring machinery in and started extracting it, how fast would my Black ass go to jail? How fast would I go to jail if I did something like that, right? But we're seeing diamonds, we're seeing
gold, silver.
Yeah, we're seeing gold, silver, we're seeing
cobalt.
All of that being mined and taken away out of Africa. And people have grown so accustomed to it, they don't flinch anymore. But with the deconstruction for a majority of folks and understanding and recognizing what's going on, wait a minute, what have we not been clued in on? Well, you come to the right spot tonight, people. All right, so moving on. So here's one of the things that you run into sometimes with saving it. It'll blank out things. But here I asked the question about the ancient site of Nabta-Playa. So we'll just go ahead and read it here. Indeed, the ancient site of Nabta-Playa in the Nubian desert of southern Egypt is considered significantly older than Stonehenge. So I asked the question, is Nabta-Playa older than Stonehenge? Nabta-Playa Archaeological evidence suggests that the earliest phases of human occupation and construction at Nabta Playa date back as far as approximately 7,500 years BCE, before Common Era. The stone circles and astronomical alignments are believed to have been constructed around 4,800 BCE. Stonehenge. Construction of the earliest elements at Stonehenge began around 3,100 BCE, with the iconic large sarsen stones being erected between 2,600 and 2,400 BCE. Based on these dates, Nabta Playa predates Stonehenge by several millennia, likely around 2,000 years in terms of the main stone circle construction. Your thoughts, Chicago?
Let me get off mute real quick. So again, this is another one I didn't know about, right? But it is interesting that when you think about what they place importance and prominence on, like in terms of Stonehenge, this is a familiar refrain, right? We keep seeing this comparison to Stonehenge. I just think it's amazing because this part of it is new information for me. I just think it's amazing that we have all these tools at our disposal to research and discover all of this, and no one is particularly sharing it with us. However, we choose to use these tools for I don't know, banter and fodder, right? The whole time this information is right here. We're just wild. But it does also make me think, like, so why do they promote Stonehenge so much? If these artifacts are significantly older, and why even put a conspiracy, which I don't even think would be much of a conspiracy if they say, okay, aliens built it or whatever, because I know throughout human language and stuff like that, the interpretations and translations get misconstrued. You know, you see somebody that's 7 foot, and if you 4 foot whatever, you think that's an alien, you know.
Yeah, 7'4", 8'5", yeah, something along those lines. That's just a big kid. But going back to what you were saying, man, the reason why you don't hear that, this goes back to what I'm saying, where everything about Africa has been played down for 400 some odd years, actually longer, if you look at when the Bible was first tabulated. As I said before, everybody has to have a foil. And excuse me if I'm using DC and Marvel, but once again, the Joker had Batman, Lex Luthor had Superman, the Cowboys had the Indians, and Christianity had Egypt, aka Africa. Look at it from that perspective. So when I'm bringing this stuff out here, it's not, as you said, it's not a conspiracy of any sort. It's just literally, hey, we don't want to give any credence. Again, you have seen now in 2 different areas now that there is information artifacts older than what folks in the Western world know that has been intentionally, I'm going to use intentionally, held back or overlooked. And then there's also a level of negligence that comes with this as well. Any last thoughts on this one before we move ahead?
Nah, this is all good stuff, man. Like I'm taking notes because this is homework that I got to do, but I got to do a deeper dive into. On surface level, I know the answer, but I just really got to do a deeper dive as to why we get things like Stonehenge, and they, you know, harp on that and place that in such prominence. But again, here you are, you have artifacts that are of significant relevance that predate the Stonehenge, and we don't hear about this stuff. Yeah. This is wild.
Significantly old. Wow. And again, I'm not making anything up. I'm not showing anything here that folks for themselves cannot take back with them and show others. This is the whole purpose of why the Council of OGs exists. That's why I wanted that, for us to have this information to share with others. So moving on. So then I had to ask a question here. Approximately what is the date of Africa's Stonehenge? So again, they play it between the Nabta Playa and Adam's calendar, but they specifically look at Nabta Playa as being the equivalent of Stonehenge, where Adam's calendar it's just off the charts, 75,000 years old, but presumed to be even older. Talk about that, right? Often referred to as the African Stonehenge, the Nabta stone circle in the Egyptian Sahara Desert is considered to be the world's oldest astronomical site. Some accounts indicate that Nabta may date back to around 7,500 years ago, predating, and here it is again, predating England's Stonehenge by approximately 2,000 years. Researchers believe the nomadic cattle worshipping people who constructed it used the stone circle, excuse me, to mark the summer solstice and predict the arrival of the monsoon season. It may also have been used for ceremonial purposes and rituals related to their cattle cult, with some evidence of cattle sacrifice discovered at the site. The site itself is located in the region of southern Egypt that was once much wetter than today. Rob, that goes back to what you were talking about earlier about in Sahara and these areas where there are wetlands. Also, as you mentioned yourself, Chicago as far as wetlands. With a seasonal lake at Nabta attracting early inhabitants. The precise date and specific purpose of all the elements within Nabta stone circle are still being investigated, but it stands as a testament to the astronomical knowledge and cultural practices of ancient African peoples. Hence why I said we're looking at ancient Africans. Questions, anyone in the chat, if you have any questions, by all means, get involved. For the two folks up in the clouds watching, please make sure that you drop anything down here if you have any questions. What you got here, Chicago?
So, yeah, I'm not gonna hold you. This is blowing my mind. But now I'm like, yo, these jokers, he who wins the war writes the history. And in his history, he is his story. He is always the victor, right? So when you look at Stone,
you're breaking up for a second, man. You're chopped. Yeah, you're gone here, but I'm sure you'll be back in a second. So you may be talking to yourself. There you go. Okay, whoa. All right, let's just give it a second here. What may happen is Chicago may dip out and come back. But going back to what Chicago was saying, another way to say what he was putting out here is that he who controls the printed page controls the thinking of the age. Now, I forget where I heard that. Actually, I think I heard it cruising across the internet from a Dr. Ray Hagens, who I don't always agree with how he phrases and how he views things, but the statement he crafted, he who controls the printed page controls the thinking of the age. Now, I will definitely say there's some thought to that. As they also stated, to the victor goes the spoils. And generally speaking, whoever is left standing after the war is who you supposedly believe would write history. But that was not the case after the United States Civil War. The history that was written in conjunction with what we know as war recorded history by the Union Army and Union historians is what we are in battle with right now, is what we're combating. The Daughters of the Confederacy have a level of documentation for the history that they have put out here that fortified and fueled a lot of the racial unrest throughout the 40s, 50s, and 60s. You have to keep in mind the racism that was seen. A lot of that had a lot to do with what the Daughters of the Confederacy had put together. Brown versus the Board of Education in 1954. Separate but equal. As far as segregation in schools between black and whites went, absolutely not. But you have to keep in mind the people who were for segregation or pro-segregation, they had grown up reading information provided by the Daughters of the Confederacy that had made it into school books. So as I said before, what we're dealing with right now is the long game finally playing out for folks who have a history of being pro-segregation. You got here the Dark Ages were dark. I know what you meant. Were dark due to the Vatican hoarding knowledge. Yes, you had issues now to whereas you can't have a docile and obedient workforce if they have the same information as the managers, just to use this broken example here. So definitely you got to keep that in mind here when we talk about the information that I'm sharing right now. As you can see, it's not really being held by anyone. It's not being held back, but at the same time, it's also not being proliferated. But if you wanted to know something about it, sure, you can go ahead, type something into the internet. You'll find some information there. But I want you to know, as I said before, information that I'm sharing right now, it is filtered in some areas where there will be a fight for you to pull this information. I had to type something in 2 or 3 times to get around the filtering that was in place that kept saying, oh no, Africa was not the cradle of humankind. So keep that in mind here, all right? So before we get any further, let me go ahead and say this. Find somebody who knows somebody to tell somebody about what we've got going on over here. If you like it, let me know. If you do, and subscribe, this is what you're looking for. So Chicago fell off here. So let me do this, folks. Let me just get with him for a moment and see what's going on with his internet. So stay clean. I'll be back in a moment. So let's go ahead, witness the fitness. Let's keep it going. Selecta. Fair use, fair use. Back in a moment. Well. All right, folks. Back to it. All right, so pardon that station break. So Chicago's just having some technical errors, so he's going to be back with us in a second. I think he's just going to join from his phone. All right, so for anyone who is still here, so where we are right now is that we've taken a look and I brought out some information that people may or may not be familiar with when it comes to some aspects of African history and culture. Primarily, we have two structures. The Adams calendar, which is dated to be 75,000 years old, possibly older. And we also have Nabta Playa, which is considered to be the African Stonehenge, which is dated to be around 7,500 years, meaning that both of these structures are older than Stonehenge, Stonehenge, located in England, and possibly other structures around the world. But again, you would not know this unless you knew of this through studies in school, or for me, going around the web, checking out different shows and live streams and talking to individuals who have ideas that might be different from mine or might augment what I do know. All right, Rob, you still got any good news back there or information that you want to share here with the class while we're waiting for Chicago to join us? And as I said before, please, by all means, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in. All right, like I said, let's give Chicago another minute or so to get back with us. All right, fair use, fair use. All is still good here, folks. If you're here for it now and you're just showing up, go ahead and rewind back to the beginning, because I'm setting up a baseline of the information that we are viewing right now, because I'm going to take a hard left. All right, well, thank you much, sir. Thank you much. I'm just trying to share what's out here. I don't own the knowledge, but I'll tell you what, if the knowledge is there, you know that I'm going to put it out here for folks to utilize in their day-to-day conversations, because we are at that point now where it is just off the rails when it comes to information. What we're sharing right now is being taught as being divisive, racist, and revisionist. There's nothing revisionist that's going on. We're just looking at information that has not been shared before as it should have been, as it could have been. But if we're not going to have folks who will go out and find this, I will do it. Chicago will do it. I see, Rob, as I've said before, you're doing your thing also by providing information to fill in the gaps. All this is where I want people to come. I want you to come here. I want you to come see the Council of OGs. All right, check it out. Jon H.E.N.R.Y. I want people to know that there's still going to be a spot where this information will be compiled and you're able to come back and reference it at any point in time. That's what we're shooting for. All right, as I said, folks, fair use, fair use. Give it a second. Let me go back and check on my mans here. Again, Roost Maneuver. You know what? I tell you what, hold up, hold that. Hold. Let me go ahead and get nice for a second. I want to get some foundational hip hop here, all right? Foundation residue. Boogie Down's got the flavor. Hold this down for a second while we get things together in the background. Ooh. Now this is hip hop. Fair use. Fair use.
Boogie Down got the flavor that you love to hear. Throw your hands up in the air, cause we up in here.
We'll be right back. Fair use, fair use.
Boogie Down got the flavor that you love to hear. Throw your hands up in the air, cause we up in here. A good performing artist is is hard to combine. Some get in the game and then they die. I have hope to give and perform strong. Give a mental masterpiece and then go on. Creating an all-time rate, cross the arms of fate and defrost the blind before it's too late. So I make plans and keep determined. No need to find me thrown over my bed from an overdose suburban. So I jump in the database and become friendly with electronics and file from records from R&B to technotronic. Yo, West Coffin, steam on the chronic. Jalil pass me my wood root tonic. Bring me to a mic stand, but not for a speech, but to shoot. Lyrics hard like steel-toed boots. Those who got skills, got skills. Those who suck deals to get deals, get the hills. Boogie down, get the flavor that you love to hear. Throw your hands up in the air, cause we up in here. Boogie down, get the flavor that you love to hear. Throw your hands up in the air, cause we up in here. I grew up in the Bronx with the guards, Zulus, peacemakers, fun city crew, rock steady, L brothers, cold crushing, 9 crew, this one's for you. There's a million MCs frontin' like they the original, catching on late after rap went digital.
Yes, fair use on it, folks. Fair use on it.
Compressors issues and be acting all nifty. Word, like they got the raw, they got more studios.
All right, so I'm not sure if Chicago's going to make it back or not, but if he is, we'll just do a recap with him. Let's go ahead and press on here. Let's go ahead and bring that up a bit. All right, so the question that I asked here: were ancient Africans proficient in academia around 20,000 BCE? Oh, my man's talk about timing. You're on the phone, Chicago. Oh, you're muted, by the way. Hold on, let me check your sound. Yeah, Chicago. If you can't hear me, man, I can see you, but you're muted right now. Okay, so I can't unmute you because it says you're muted on your side. Hold on, folks. We'll get some back chat here. Yeah, we're communicating in the background. Yeah, you may need to drop and come back in one more time. Excuse me. So, as I said, the question asked, were ancient Africans proficient in academia around 20,000 BCE before Common Era? While the concept of academia, as we understand it today, formal institutions for higher learning and systemic scholarly inquiry, is a much later development, evidence suggests that early African societies around 20,000 BCE demonstrated advanced cognitive abilities and practical knowledge that laid the foundation for future intellectual pursuits. So the ancient Africans had knowledge, people. They weren't just a bunch of folks running around with loincloths throwing spears and shit. Pardon my language. There was actual intellect that was there. There was prominence. There was knowledge. But again, a lot of that went missing at the time of the Atlantic slave trade. So let's take a look at the breakdown here. Technological sophistication. Archaeological findings indicate the development of sophisticated tool-making techniques, including the use of advanced stone blacking methods and potentially heat treatment of materials. Excuse me. Early notational systems, since we're talking about academia. The Lobombo bone, 35,000 BCE, and Ishango bone, 20,000 BCE, indicate early use of notched bones for potentially mathematical or calendrical purposes. showcasing an understanding of counting and recording information. And again, look at the time frame of this: 35,000 BCE to 20,000 BCE. Significant time periods before Rome or Europe could account their histories. Significant. Early hunter-gatherers, such as those in the Kalahari Desert, demonstrated advanced knowledge of animal behavior and the environment, critical for survival and resource acquisition. So again, as is seen here, we can gather that there was a significant amount of knowledge that was there. But I have to keep coming back to this. How did we lose this? And I've said it once before, maybe too many times, but I'll say it again. We lost it during two phases. That of Christianity coming to be the primary religion that was coming into its own prominence around 325 to, I want to say 387 AD. But that will be a different show. But in the immediacy, when we're talking about the 16th, 17th, 18th, was from the 16th century up until the 21st now. A lot of information has been lost and left out. But I hope to lay a foundation and a baseline that folks can work from starting from today, if you have not been interested in searching out such information. All right, still moving forward. Were ancient Africans proficient in architecture around 20,000 BCE? Answer: there is archaeological evidence suggesting ancient Africans were building structures and creating art around 20,000 BCE, indicating a degree of architectural proficiency, though it differs significantly from later, more formalized architectural styles seen in monumental structures. And here's a breakdown of the evidence. All right, so moving forward here, there is knowledge that has not been tapped or even recognized by common folk. Sure, again, if you go to school and higher education, you'll learn these things. Hell, when I went to higher education, a lot of this I did not know. Now, I'm not saying that I was into structural engineering, which I'm sure maybe someone from a structural engineering background or an architect and engineering would have known what we're looking at right now. But Adam's calendar, the Napta Playa, none of that was ever in any of my curriculum during my undergrad years in college. And again, this stuff is 75,000 years old or older. The oldest hut. The archaeological site of Afad 23 in Sudan contains relics of prehistoric camps and the oldest open-air hut in the world, dating back 50,000 years. Now, how mad is this, as I said before, about information that will blow your minds? I'm sure this would take Chicago out of the box for a second if we were here to see this. The lunar calendar, I believe we've already talked about this. The Ishango bone, found in present-day Democratic Republic of the Congo and dated to be between 23,000 and 18,000 BC, has been interpreted by some as a lunar calendar, suggesting early astronomical observation and record keeping through this interpretation. Though this interpretation is debated. Rock shelters and simple stone walls. Around the 10th millennium BP, roughly 8,000 BCE, epipaletic, how you want to call it, hunter-gatherers in the Central Sahara used rock shelters as foundations for proto-village huts and built simple stone walls, potentially as windbreaks. And again, we're talking 8,000 BCE, which goes back to the discussion that we were having when we talked about life around the Nile, how the Nile was plush, it was fertile, and you had hunter-gathering societies that were living around the Nile itself because of this. Rock art, the oldest scientifically dated figurative rock art in Africa, found in Namibia's Apollo 11 cave, dates to around 26,000 to 28,000 years ago, showcasing artistic skill and expression. As I said to you before, where is this information in the school books in K through 12, in undergrad studies in college? Where is this information? Hopefully it's there nowadays, because when I went through, I did not learn any of this. A lot of this I'm just coming to knowledge about in just the last 3 to 4 months. And this information within the last, I'll say 48 to 72 hours of my research. Dare I even say the last 96 hours. Hey, still cooking here. No pun intended, right? Were ancient Africans proficient in culinary around 20,000 BCE? And we're just making more strides here. Archaeological evidence indicates that early humans in Africa around 20,000 BCE were employing various methods for preparing and cooking food, which can be interpreted as a form of early culinary skill. We've always been putting the foot in it. Holla if you're picking up what I'm putting down. Cooking techniques. Early Africans used fire to roast and broil food over open flames or hot coals. There's also evidence suggesting they used methods similar to braising in clay cylinders set in pits, according to Peaceful Heart Farm. I think I write this, Peaceful Heart Farm. Additionally, charred food remains found in hearths like those at the Classius River site in South Africa suggested roasting and eating starchy plants such as tubers and rhizomes as far back as 120,000 years ago. Why is this information not out there? Or better yet, why are we not looking for this information? Hopefully, I will get more of you to do so after today. Diversified diet. Need to increase the size of this. That's what she said. Their diet consisted of hunted game, mammals, birds, fish, and shellfish, gathered wild grains, nuts, fruits, berries, tubers, and honey. This varied diet showcases an understanding of the environment and the resources it provided. All right, tools. They used various tools for cooking and food preparation, including hand axes, scrapers, specialized stone blades, tools made from bone and ivory, and later grinding stones for processing grains. The development of these tools and techniques demonstrates an increasing sophistication in their culinary practices. So as I said before, there is so much information that we have not seen hit daylight, not because we have not had access to it, but because the knowledge and proficiency of Africa and the prominence has been played down, and instead we've been focused on, as our culture, African culture, has been focused more towards wild kingdom. All right. Again, loincloths, the people of the Sahara. We may learn about primitive aspects of certain people who still live the lifestyle of their ancestors, but we do not see any information such as this that I'm presenting. Let it be known from today on and out, folks, that you know of this, share it. So as of right now, I really don't know if Chicago is going to make it back. So we're just going to go ahead and keep pressing. All right, next in the list. Were Africans proficient in medicine around 20,000 BCE? Obviously, the answer is going to be yes. There is evidence suggesting ancient Africans possessed knowledge of healing and medicine long before 20,000 BCE. We're talking even before that period, obviously. So we're talking 35,000 BCE, 40,000 possibly. But the level of proficiency described in many sources refers to later periods. Early practices. Evidence points to early humans using plants for medicinal purposes as far back as the Stone Age, although it's difficult to pinpoint a precise starting date and the depth of their understanding. Observational learning. It's believed early humans likely learned about the medicinal properties of plants and Earth's clays by observing animal behavior, geophagy, I believe, and through trial and error, meaning that if you didn't get bit and ate, you live again to take another look at it, right? Later advancements. More advanced medical practices, including surgery, development of specialized physicians, and writing medical texts are documented from later periods, notably ancient Egypt, according to Pan-African Review. These later advancements involve practices like trepanation, skull surgery, bone setting, and the use of herbal remedies, some still used today. While we can infer the existence of early healing practices in Africa around 20,000 BCE based on general human history, direct, detailed evidence of proficiency in medicine in the way we understand it in later civilizations is limited. What is clear is that Africans later developed advanced medical knowledge that surpassed that of other civilizations of the time in many aspects. So for anyone who is just joining right now, we've got almost an hour and a half that we've been in here shutting it down with knowledge that folks were not familiar with. So by all means, skate it back, take a look. And what I need to do, which is, I am so bad at this, but I need to go ahead and probably start time stamping. So I'm going to have to go back and rewatch this and start time stamping. Who knows? I might be able to sucker Elisa into doing it for me. But, you know, puff, puff, give. I'll get her a bowl of fruit or something like that. She loves fruit. Loves the stuff. Oh. All right. So again, we can see here that the question that I asked somehow got dropped out, but let's go ahead and read what we've got here. Based on available archaeological evidence, ancient Africans demonstrated significant scientific and technological advancements around 20,000 BCE, particularly in the areas of mathematics, tool making, and potentially early astronomical observations. Mathematics. And again, for the third time, we're seeing the Ishango bone. The Ishango bone, discovered near the border of present-day Uganda and the Democratic Republic of Congo, is a bone tool dating back to the Upper Paleolithic era, approximately 18,000 to 20,000 BCE. While initially thought to be a tally stick, some scientists suggest the groupings of notches indicate a deeper mathematical understanding, potentially including multiplication, division, or even a lunar calendar. It is considered the earliest known mathematical artifact, preceding many widely believed origins of complex mathematics. So we are getting it in right about now, people. Tool making. Evidence from the Middle Stone Age in Africa, which overlaps with the period around 20,000 BCE, reveals advanced stone tool technologies, including distinctive methods for producing sharp flakes and shaping them into tools like scrapers and points. Early astronomical observation. While direct evidence for sophisticated astronomical observatories at 20,000 BCE is limited, the Ishango bone's potential function as a lunar calendar suggests an early understanding of celestial cultures. This suggests that the roots of such knowledge likely extended into earlier periods. We're hitting right around 20,000 BCE, or even before that time period. We're talking north. We're talking north of anything that we know of first, second, third, fourth century. We're looking at information here that is verified that there was knowledge in Africa that has not seen the light of day or has not been openly shared because of being intentionally directed away from that, aka deflections. So, for those of you who started the show off with myself and Chicago, I talked about how everybody has to have a foil. Lex Luthor had Superman. The Joker had Batman. The Cowboys had the Indians. And as I said before, Christianity had Egypt. So we're going to see in a minute where all this is leading up to, because I think it's just going to be who's ever here right now, and you folks here in the replay gang who take into account what I'm getting ready to show next, because I think we've lost Chicago for the evening. So I asked the question, or I should have put it more in question format, but I have it as a statement. Egypt is seen as a foil to Christianity. And here's what I got back. Egypt's portrayal in the Bible can indeed be understood as a foil to Christianity in several ways, particularly when examining the themes and events surrounding the Exodus and the subsequent development of Israel's faith. Here's a breakdown of how Egypt functions as a foil, symbol of bondage and oppression. The most prominent example is the enslavement of the Israelites in Egypt, which is a central theme in the book of Exodus. Egypt represents spiritual and physical bondage from which God delivers his people, serving as a contrast to the freedom and liberation offered through the faith of God. Are you seeing this here? Egypt was always catching blows. Worldly power versus divine sovereignty. Egypt, as a powerful and prosperous nation in antiquity, is depicted as relying on its own strength and wisdom. The plague sent upon Egypt demonstrates God's power and sovereignty over all nations and deities, contrasting with the false wisdom and idolatry prevalent in Egypt. False wisdom and idolatry prevalent in Egypt. Now think about this. We have just seen information dating back almost 75,000 years of the prominence, of the knowledge, of science, of culinary, of academia. But when it comes to the fictional book of the Bible, Egypt is looked at as being oppressive, as we've seen here, a symbol of bondage, false wisdom. But yet look at the information that has just been presented about the knowledge that existed on the continent of Africa, primarily talked about through Egypt. Let's keep looking at this. Idolatry versus monotheism. Ancient Egypt was characterized by polytheism and idolatry, where various gods and goddesses were worshipped. Christianity, on the other hand, emphasizes strict monotheism, the worship of one true God. Again, who said that that God was true? But that is what you get inside of the indoctrination, which starkly contrasted with the religious practices of ancient Egypt. So rather than me reading all the way through this, you get the point that I'm making, right? When I made the statement of a foil, somebody has got to be the bad guy in order to uplift the other side of the conversation. The uplifting aspect that we've all been taught is Christianity, whereas through the other side of our face here, right, we have been taught to look down our noses at Egypt. But again, I have already pointed out, you have seen for yourselves, those of you who are watching it here, who are left here either in the clouds or you folks watching home on the replay. You can see clearly for yourselves, there's an issue here. Something has gone on to direct people away from this knowledge that is here about Africa that folks don't even know about it. What did that? And I say again, two things: Christianity and the slave trade. Those two particular points in history are the reasons why the level of prominence of Africa is not known as it could or as it should be. Moving on. So this is the bombshell that I really wanted to drop with Chicago, but you'll just have to see the replay. So for those of you who do not know, James Usher is an Irish clergy member, but he is also famous for supposedly dating and letting people know when the earth was actually created. Now, of course, he was Christian. And I said before, let me backtrack for a second, folks. This is not Sunday school. This is not a sermon. This is not vacation Bible school. This is not Wednesday Bible study. All right. This is facts being discussed. And I want you to keep that in mind. This is facts, or should I say, these are facts being discussed. The earth, according to James Usher, came into existence the 23rd of October, 4004 BCE. Now, I want you to look at this date right here. Again, yes, according to James Usher's chronology, the world was created on October 23rd, 4004 BCE. This date was derived from his detailed study of biblical genealogies and other ancient historical sources. Now, we got to at least give him a little bit of credit here for the work that he's done, but he can only do so much based with the tools that he had available to him during his time frame of study. Usher's work became widely accepted in Western Christendom and was even incorporated into printed versions of the Bible. Again, this is something that we had discussed earlier when Rob was with us. I think he's pretty much gone on his way now, but the same thing with Chicago. And I made this statement. At different points in time, people were writing and adding to the Bible as we know it. That's why you had different versions of Jesus being a Superman with supernatural powers at one point in time, being brooding, of being compassionate. You know, it was always flip-flopping depending upon who was writing for the audience at the time. So just take a look here. If you want to figure out more for yourself, here's the man's name, James Usher. And again, per this man's statement, and notice also that it states that his work is incorporated into the printed version of the Bible, meaning that your concept of Adam and Eve, am I saving the best for last? But your concept of Adam and Eve needs to be called into question right now if you stayed up until that point. Because again, the world, which means if they say that God created the earth in 7 days, the world did not come into existence per what we're seeing from James Usher until 4004 BCE. So tell me something, people. How can Adam be the first damn man if we have structures dating back, or at least we have people around the Nile in 8000 BCE? We have creations like Adam's calendar that have been around for 75,000 years, predating Stonehenge. All right, the Naphtali. Look again where we're looking at proficiency in academics, dating back to 20,000 BCE, advanced cognitive abilities. Look at this, people. I want to ask you this question. How is Adam the first man when you have this information showing that we had people living around the Nile in 8000 BCE, 4,000 years before the earth was supposedly created? One more time. How is Adam seen as the first man? I'm open for Discord if anybody wants to argue this, but you've seen with your own eyes, if you stayed on it this far, that there is no way Adam was the first man. Hence why many of us are stating the Bible is nothing more than a work of fiction. It is another book. And if you want to argue this, hey, take someone through the stream here. I think I've made it pretty clear. And lastly, this goes back to what I was just discussing. The world born in 4004 BC. Now, this is an article that goes way back into
2006. The author was Larry Pierce. Now, he's a computer programmer. I'm just going to read you a little bit of what he started with here. But if you want to go ahead and follow through this, by all means, here you go, folks. Answers in Genesis. To which, again, no, didn't happen. Because how can Adam be the first man when you had people in 8,000 BCE hunting and gathering along the African Nile? Blows this all up. But still, let's go ahead and read it. The age of the earth, as described by James Usher. The age of the earth is one of the most contentious issues in the creation and evolution debate. No, it's not really. Not with carbon dating and so forth, the archaeological methodology utilized to find information. No, there's no debate left. Keep in mind now, why are there no dinosaurs inside of the Bible if Adam was the first man and he is at the very beginning? Where are the dinosaurs? In today's culture, the thought of creation occurring about 6,000 years ago is frequently mocked by non-Christians and also by many Christians. But remember now, this article is from 2006, almost 20 years ago. Even James Usher, the famous and respected Archbishop of Ireland in the 17th century, is today greatly ridiculed for declaring the world was created in 4004 BC. But remember now, this was accepted. And here we're going to see this written again as well. However, this date was widely accepted until people began to believe in ideas such as billions of years of Earth history. This is where critical thinking was now coming into play. More so now, we still have folks who would throw critical thinking off to the side because they're told to just have faith. To which I've said before, faith is nothing more than the belief in the non-existent. And believing in and of itself leaves you in a position, or should I say, is centered around the lack of accountability and the lack of facts. So believing in faith is a check that is not going to get cashed. Why? Because critical thinking has been removed, because it's best to just believe, and all things that you believe in is justified by Christ. Black folks and white folks, whoever else, other folks, it's time to move away from this. Now, argue if you must your personal relationship that you feel you have with an individual that never existed, but recognize that what we've been through for the last hour and 45 minutes is a clear indication of the contradictions that have been bestowed upon the Western world through this book right here. In other words, let me get back to this. However, this date was widely accepted until people began to believe in ideas such as billions of years of Earth history. In other words, they started trusting in the latest secular findings based on fallible dating methods. Is this guy a believer? Instead of the only absolutely reliable method, consulting the history book provided by the eyewitness account, the infallible word of God. And let's make it clear here, folks. There is no eyewitness account of the work of the mythical or the biblical individual called Jesus, because it did not happen. There's no one outside of the Bible itself that can validate anything that occurred inside of the Bible, because it was a story. It still is. Usher also argued that day one of creation was October 23rd. On the surface, this does seem a bit extreme to suggest a specific date. But when one studies what Usher did, one quickly realizes he was a brilliant scholar who had very good reasons for his conclusions concerning the date of creation, which is documented here that he has specific methodology that was available to him at the time. And based upon that methodology, that is where he came to see that, in his perspective, the earth was created on the 23rd of October. Now, those were some dates that had to be moved around to match with some religious ceremonies, or let's say 23rd of October, 23rd of October, it had to coexist and co-align with Sunday. So if anyone wants to see this for themselves, by all means, have at it. But here, let me give you the conclusion of the article. We have seen that Usher had logical and historically valid reasons for arriving at the year and even his proposed beginning date of creation. These were not wild guesses of some illiterate bishop counting on his fingers and toes, as progressive creationist Dr. Hugh Ross disrespectfully alleged in his organization's cartoon, See Inset. When we defer to the Bible as our authoritative basis for the areas in which it touches, it will prove itself without fail. False. There have been numerous failures and contradictions brought about. For example, I want to say was it in Luke or so, where the question was asked, who was Jesus's grandfather? Now we know his father was, just a second. Fair use. Yeah, pretty much expected Chicago had to dip out. But again, we know who Jesus' father was. Joseph. So his father, I'm sorry, just a moment, folks. So I believe I want to say Joshua. I have to go back and check here, but Joshua was Jesus' grandfather. But if you go check in another passage of the Bible, it says that Heli was Jesus' grandfather. Contradiction. You have books that are spoken of. I think the book of Jasher was mentioned. Hey, what's up, Rob? See you back. You see that the book of Jasher, one of the many books that's spoken of in the Bible, is mentioned, but it is not there. Nowhere to be found. The two words that I find that people have the biggest issue of dealing with in the Bible is the use of the words you and virgin. Because when you look at the use of the word you, verily I say unto you, for example, who is being addressed at that point in time? What people seem to not understand is, at least when you start talking in the biblical sense, people think you means you, the person out there. It's like me saying, hey, Rob, verily I say unto you. Now, Rob should know that I am talking to him. But if I am holding a book in my hand, I'm reading, verily I say unto you, that means that the speaker in the book is not addressing you, the people, or the reader. He's not talking to you. The individual who is speaking right now is talking to the people in front of him, the reader, inside of the text. Now think about this the next time anyone picks up the Bible and there's the word you there, where it's speaking to you, or I say unto you, or the question is asked, tell us, what do you think? And let's say if it's a disciple talking to the biblical character Jesus, tell us of your mind, or whatever. The you is not you reading the book. The you being discussed is the disciple or disciples speaking to that single individual, the biblical character Jesus. Now, if you remove that pretext, that failed misinterpretation out of your level of understanding, the Bible will read in a totally different manner to you. Honestly, take the aspect of thinking you means the reader. No, you is referring to the speaker or whoever the speaker is speaking to, not the person reading the book. Take that with you. The second one, the second word that is just thrown around and made a mess of is virgin. Now, the old text, remember that a lot of this stuff has been translated, I believe, from Hebrew or the language, but primarily Hebrew, excuse me. But still, nonetheless, we're dealing with translations. You had virgin, which meant a young girl. Didn't necessarily mean that this girl had sex, but it simply means that the virgin was just a young girl. Now, when you're talking about a young girl who had not had sex, the word is either Betula or Bethula. Just a moment here. Let me pick this up for you folks. I want to be accurate in this because I know there's going to be a whole bunch of folks fussing at me when they get around to possibly watching this. Was girl not, as they say, roughed by a man? With the implied, okay, yes, here we go. May have to take up the screen here for a second. The Hebrew word Bethula primarily refers to a young woman, often with the implied or explicit understanding that she is a virgin. While some instances of the word's use might seem to deviate from a strict definition of virgin, which is the translated version of the word here, it's important to consider the cultural and linguistic context of ancient Israel. Here's why Bethula is generally understood to mean a girl not roughed by a man in the biblical context, legal text. The word is used in passages that discuss legal matters concerning virginity, such as Deuteronomy, chapter 22, verses 13 to 21, where the term refers to the evidence of a girl's virginity. I think it's where they would, the only way to tell if a girl was a virgin was upon her first night. If there's blood on the sheets, that means that she has not been touched. Woe to the man whose father supposedly gave him a virgin, right? Explicit description in Genesis 24:16. Rebecca is described as a betula. See, there is another spelling of the word. This is spelling that I know. Betula, whom no man had known, making it clear that she was a virgin. Contrasting with other words, the Hebrew Bible uses words for young women that don't necessarily imply virginity, suggesting that Bethula carried a specific meaning related to chastity. I have not, Rob. So I really can't comment on that. But as we see here, folks, even the definition of what we in the Western world call virgin is not even a virgin per se. Again, an actual virgin is considered to be Betula or Bethel, as we're seeing here. But the concept of virgin was just a young girl. Didn't mean that she hadn't had sex. It just meant that it was a young girl, but more precise to mean a young girl who had not had sex. The proper term was Betula. All right, so again, this is not a Sunday sermon. This is not Vacation Bible School. It is not Bible study. All right, this is just facts, information that I'm sharing here. All right, so let's go ahead and shut this down here, all right? Because it is time for me to go grab a little something to eat. But as always, I appreciate anyone who's able to join in and catch up. I see we have folks coming in, fading out. But nonetheless, I appreciate anyone who is here for the show. Rob, as always, thank you for stopping by and being a part of the show if you have a moment. For those of you in the replay gang, feel free to look at this information. Go tell somebody that I said it. That's right, I said this shit. All right, so with that being said, I thank everyone who was here, who could show up. Shout out to Chicago Gorilla to stay for as long as he could before he had technical difficulty. And I'll leave it with this. Africa had a lot to offer as far as knowledge and prominence and the information that is there. We have not been able to see this. Hey, what's going on, Huey? Shame, man, you're getting here too late. We're getting ready to shut it down. But by all means, man, go back and take a look here, because I may hit Lorenzo up with this, because we did some talking about ancient Africans. And we talked about primarily, you know what? I'm not even going to spoil it for you. Nah, I'm not even going to do that. If you've got some time here, go ahead and check this stream out. You love it when it gets to the end. I'll leave it at that, man. But as I said, Africa has a level of prominence that we have not even seen discussed. And the reason being is that Africa has always been a foil to Europe when it comes to who's considered the cradle of civilization or the cradle of humankind. Clearly, as I've shown here, Africa, let me get this out of the way here. We don't need that anymore. Africa is the cradle of humankind and civilization. Now, Mesopotamia did have a level of civilization that they were known for as well. This is something that Chicago was mentioning. So there's been some combatancy back and forth between that. But overall, life is known to have started on the continent of Africa. And I've gone through everything. Well, let me take that back. I've gone through a portion that you can take to the bank that is true. Take it upon yourselves to educate yourselves, folks. And if you're having an issue trying to find out, you know where to find myself. You know Chicago is here as well when his internet isn't acting up, right? But by all means, stop by. Let me know if you have any questions. Keep in mind, there's also, you know what? I need to keep up with the page and posting information about the shows here. And I need to start using more of my page on Facebook as well. So let me make sure that I get active and share what we go through. I need to start having an after party, after show place to go with the information that we end up with. So let me go ahead and work on that. Closing. Africa has a level of prominence and knowledge that has not even seen the light of day in some aspects. Check this show out and let me know if you have any questions. Let me know if you like it, share it if you do, and subscribe if this is what you're looking for. From the Council of OGs, Jon H.E.N.R.Y, aka Johnny Woke, and Chicago Gorilla. From us. Peace out.